Well, I am a clarinetist. I I went into public school teaching, and I was actually a school band director for 39 years. I did everything from beginning band up through um, high school. I was the director of bands at Worthing and Kilbourne High School in the last iteration of my job. Also did some teaching at the undergraduate level. Uh, so I've sort of had a broad experience in that. Um, I went to Ohio State, got a couple of degrees there in music education and in performance.
Nice.
You know, it's interesting here. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and it's a fairly large city. And as a school band director, repair was always so important because, as you know, when you're dealing with lots of kids who are on these instruments, and they're kids, and they tend to have a lot of issues with repair. So over the years, I learned a little bit about doing, on MASH, they used to call it meatball surgery, which is what I always called it on instruments that I had to take and quickly fix. So I had a little bit of experience that way. But we have several music stores in town that were our main repair people. Um, and as you probably are aware, in the last few years, that's become more and more rare and more difficult. Um, it was always great. There was a time when we had 3 music stores sending reps to our school every week, and we could just dole out repairs. But that sort of has dwindled down, and I know what's left in the sort of music store world in our area, they're kind of overwhelmed, and don't always probably, and not because they're not able to, but because they just don't have time to give instruments the kind of attention that they deserve. And so it's when you have a lot of instruments to get through, they may give you have 15 minutes to fix this instrument or whatever. I don't know for sure if that's true, but it seemed like it at that time. So the quality of repair was sometimes inconsistent. And of course, as you have kids sitting without an instrument and it goes away for a week and it comes back. And if it's not working then it's 2 weeks. And so it becomes a big deal. So that has become more of an issue in our community, as well as where my focus is a little more is I'm specializing mostly on clarinet repair, although I've done some saxophone overhauls and such as well. But we had a couple of gentlemen in the community for many years who were expert master technicians at woodwinds, particularly clarinet. A gentleman by the name of Tim Clark, you might know that name, was here in our area, and he recently retired and moved south, so he's no longer in our community. And we had another gentleman who was also, I always took my clarinetist to him. His name was Naldo Monaco. He was a wonderful old Italian gentleman with just great repair skills, but he retired as well. So I'm finding that folks here, we have a large clarinet community in Columbus, with Ohio State being here. We had Jim Pine all those years at Ohio State, cranking out a lot of great clarinet players. And now we have Caroline Hardig doing the same thing. And a lot of those clarinet players are still in our area. And so I'm hoping that I can sort of fill that void a little bit for those folks who are bringing me their professional instruments. And I can actually spend the time, and as a clarinetist myself, I can make sure that things are exactly the way those folks want them, in a way that I think the music stores can't really do. This happened. It was just sort of great the way the timing worked out, because I decided to retire at the end of the 2019-2020 school year, which was right when we had shut down for COVID and we had been teaching online. And I had had a previous relationship with Lisa through buying some clarinets from her, from my school. So I was able to, having been in touch with her and watching her website, I saw that this repair class was starting, and I thought, well, I was looking for something to do in my retirement. My retirement was actually very quick. COVID sort of pushed me over the edge and
Mm.
had me to decide. So I thought, well, this is something I've always been interested in, and as I told you, I've sort of over the years have developed some limited skills in being able to do some, minor repairs as a band director. So I thought, well, I'd really like to be able to learn how to do this right, and also hopefully, be an asset to our community here for those folks who need that, because there is that need. If you're looking to get into repair, I think there are a couple of ways to go. You could try to do like an internship. If you can find a good local repair person, that's one way to go. I know there are places where you can go like Red Wing, where you take sort of an intense um, music. I don't know how long those courses are. I think they're fairly short term and you do a lot of different things. But these courses, I should say, that we're offering, or that Lisa's Clarinet Shop is offering, they're so in depth, and you learn so much that I would highly recommend that to anyone who's looking for that. And it's wonderful because you can do it right from, here I am in my third bedroom at home, which is now my
Mm.
shop. You can do it right from the comfort of your own home.